Yes, what was spicy just got even spicier. You know what's spicy, Mitch?
Tell me.
Beef. Beef.
It can be.
Especially when that beef involves one BG, Brittany Griner, or you watch, I'm trying to think this game, I forget if it was Wednesday or Thursday night, the Atlanta Dream game that was, or was it Friday on Ion, where Autumn Johnson was the sideline reporter.
I've
And
seen the clip.
okay, so you've seen the clip. We were watching it in real time here at my house, and it was on TV too, so we did not have audio on. And I think we had the Knicks game up on the main TV with the audio. And all of a sudden, I look over and I see Autumn's like smiling, holding the microphone as BG goes wandering over to the refs mid-interview. Autumn is clearly trying to get out of the interview. BG comes back and goes, no, let's continue the interview at halftime of the Atlanta Dream game, in which she was quoted as saying some certain things to the officials. No, not the things that she was quoted as saying when people lip read her on the bench. No, she
Oh
was going
boy.
after the officials instead. So yeah, easily. This week's beef of the week has to go to Brittany Griner because she was taking no prisoners. And I would like to give Autumn Johnson a lot of kudos because she handled it with grace. And I've been there. When the talent or the player says some things that the FCC wouldn't be too fond of, and you're like, I got to get out of this, but the camera's still on, the red light's still on, so I got to keep performing. So thank you for our beef of the week, BG. We appreciate you.
Yeah, BG has been letting the colorful language fly, as you mentioned earlier. I would advise people who normally do not watch Brittany Griner play basketball to not try to read her lips. Looking at you, Riley Gaines.
I just don't know what's like AI either anymore with some of these people. Like, I'm like, is that actually the real video? Or because I know this, the Autumn Johnson, like that was the actual interview. Like that was real TV.
Oh, yeah.
I start texting my buddy Rebecca and I'm like, do you have audio on? She's like, no, I ran out to the store. I'm like, I need someone to tell me because no one clipped it initially. I need to know what the hell just happened on live television. And yeah,
She was going in on the refs.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Which was also the context of that other clip that people were trying to lip read her. Like she was mad at the refs, not mad at Caitlin Clark. Everybody calm down.
Yes.
So yeah, BG letting it fly under Carl Smesko.
Also letting it fly from 3-point range. I'm here for her and Bree Jones and kind of this new look by a Carl Smesko, something we've been talking about here on this podcast for months on end. And you're starting to see it, I think, with the Atlanta Dream. Could they be like a spicy team that is in the mix for a postseason berth, Mitch?
I think they're going to be a team that kind of like figures it out as they go. I have a lot of belief in Carl Smesko's like ability to figure it out and adapt and how to get kind of the best out of his players and what the system is going to be and stuff. I really like what I've seen out of Tina Paopao. Small sample size so far. Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones kind of adapting to some different roles in terms of letting 3-pointers fly every now and then. Brianna Jones has been really good for them. She's averaging a double.
She looks great from 3 in the 2 Dream games that I've watched live. Like she looks awesome from long distance, which I don't think you would have been saying a few years ago about her.
Yeah. And BG is BG. She's, still an all-star. Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard, I think Alicia Gray is playing really well.
Yeah. Really well.
And Ryan Howard, I think, is figuring things out in a new system. So yeah, I just kind of have faith in them to figure it out. And like, if they snuck into the playoffs, that wouldn't shock me.
You have faith. You are encouraged by the Atlanta Dream. What team you're most concerned about, though, Mitch? That's on the other side. Let's take a quick break, though, first, and let our friends know about our other friends at the Sports Podcast Festival. Yes, folks, it is returning to the Triangle August 23rd at the Rialto in Raleigh. My good friend Richard Johnson and Split Zone duo, The Stars, alongside our friends Ovius and Gilio. Of course, Big Screen Sports will also join the party. So that's 3 podcasts, 1 location, the Rialto, August 23rd in Raleigh, North Carolina. Split Zone duo, Ovius and Gilio, Big Screen Sports. Tickets are $59. There is also an option to buy a ticket and reserve. I wore this just for the occasion, Mitch. Your home field long sleeve tee. I am rocking the Sports Podcast Festival sweatshirt from Home Field.
I'm wearing a home field hat.
We are rocking the Home Field Apparel. We love our friends at Home Field Apparel. Be sure to check out therialto.com or eTix to get your tickets for the Sports Podcast Festival. Mitch, did you attend last year?
I did. It was a lot of fun. Last year we had shut down Fullcast, and Hand in the Dirt and Ovies and Giglio. Really a lot of fun. Really good night. I've also been to a Split Zone Duo live show up in DC, which is a whole lot of fun. Love listening to those guys talk college football. And yeah, Home Field's going to be there, and they make really comfy shirts and other fun college apparel. So yeah, come out to Raleigh, hang out with us, and what better way to spend week 0?
It was 98 degrees at Jaguars practice today. I got home. I was still sticky, but I wanted to rock the Sports Podcast Festival sweatshirt. And I'm not going to lie, Mitch, doesn't matter how sticky I felt. You put one of these Home Field apparel babies on, all your worries, all the stickiness, it goes away. So long as you're in AC, but that's a story for another time. It is time for this week's main event. My big question for you, Mitch, what team in the W 2 weeks into the season are you most concerned about? And because we just spent about 5 minutes on them, you cannot say the Chicago Sky.
I think my top 2 choices would probably be the Chicago Sky and the Dallas
they're my number
Wings,
1 too, so that's why we're taking them out.
And the Dallas Wings, who I've already talked about why I'm concerned with them. So the other team that I would kind of look at is that are off to a slow start are the Las Vegas Aces.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not sure really what's up there with the Aces. Where they're 2-2 to start the season. We had a loss at Seattle. We had a double-digit loss to the Liberty. I guess the Seattle loss was by double digits too. So a 14-point loss at the Liberty, a 20-point loss at Seattle. That's not the usual like Death Star Las Vegas Aces that we're accustomed to. And I kind of wonder just what exactly is going on there. A'ja Wilson is still playing really, really well. She's averaging a double-double, playing great. Jackie Young is putting up some really good numbers. I think that the backcourt is some concern. Maybe they're missing Kelsey Plum. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. What have you seen from the Aces?
I have seen a team that is still leaning into, for lack of a better term, the old way. And by old way, I mean the mid 2000s, late 2010s way of thinking of let me build a super team. And if my starting 5 is better than your starting 5, we will find a way to win. I think that, and look, bias or not, like saying goodbye to Kate Martin, saying goodbye to Kelsey Plum, even if that was a loaded backcourt, I think that both those moves, if only on May the 27th, as we're recording this podcast, it appears to be a mistake. Letting names like Sid Colson, letting Tiffany Hayes walk. I think you are starting to see the effects of not having that depth, not having a 1 through 10 lineup that may not be elite, but you have the best player in the game. And you have enough pieces that you can keep those top 5 players fresh. I think a lot of it has to deal with depth. I think even more of it, to your point, does have to deal with, since this was making its way on the rounds on social media this weekend, A'ja Wilson leads this team in every statistical category as of this podcast being recorded, or at the very least earlier this weekend. She led them in points. She led them in rebounds. She did lead them in assists. And that has sparked a lot of conversation, if only among women's basketball fans. And look, I think that we'll see how the season plays out, but I would not be surprised, Mitch, if this continues at the pace that it's at. Let's go back to those net ratings that I read off earlier. The Aces are 8th, minus 0.9 in net rating. If this continues, if they make the postseason, but they're one and done, I think that there is a case to be made of potentially not blowing it up, because I don't think A'ja Wilson's going anywhere, but saying, okay, we need to lean into the next iteration of what the Las Vegas Aces around A'ja Wilson are going to be. And since I heard this on No Off Season on the Athletic Women's Basketball podcast, shout out to the folks over there, Jackie Young did change her representation this past off season, and now has the same agent as Kelsey Plum. I'm not saying that she's going to follow Kelsey Plum to LA, but what I am saying, Brian Windhorst meme, is that when you switch your representation, whether that's in the W, The NBA, the NFL, that typically means that's because the wheels are starting to turn about, hey, how do I get my next deal?
How do I capitalize on what is to come for me? Yeah, and I think if Jackie Young were to leave the Aces, I think that would maybe open up the door for a larger rebuild there. Just kind of looking at their roster currently constructed this season. I'm looking at some numbers. I see that so Kaya Stokes has been their starting center. She's playing 18 minutes a game. She has not scored a single point this season.
Yes, which was an issue
Um,
last year too, by the way, and that was why they ended up at some junctures last summer having to start Kate Martin just because Kia Stokes gives them no offensive firepower, and
right.
they have not come up with a solution for the 5.
So, I mean, you have Elizabeth Kitley,
That's true.
who I'm pretty sure, like it is she's the ACC's all-time leading rebounder. I don't think she's the ACC's all-time leading scorer, but she's Virginia Tech's all-time leading scorer. I've seen Elizabeth Kitley play a lot of basketball games over the past couple of years. Elizabeth Kitley is capable of scoring, and she's 6'6" and is capable of playing, I think, in the WNBA. Why not try her? Let's give Elizabeth Kitley some minutes and see if she can give you some offense from the center position. She's also somebody that can protect the rim and probably do all the things that Kia Stokes does.
Mhm.
I'm not going to pretend to be a better coach than Becky Hammond, but like let's try some things here. Let's Carl Smesco this a little bit. Let's see what sticks.
Or Princeton offense it like the Washington Mystics.
Right. Yeah. So I just feel like if you've had a lot of, like you said, the depth on this team has diminished quite a bit because of all the offseason moves. You mentioned everybody who's left. But there are still some adjustments to be made here. Like you're not just stuck with the roster that you have. I know that Megan Gustafson is hurt, and if she was healthy, they would give her some run at center. But you do have Elizabeth Kitley sitting right there, and like there's a reason why you kept her around a year beyond her injury that she had to sit out for last year. So let's see what she's got.
I agree with you in terms of teams that I am most worried about 2 weeks into the W season. The Chicago Sky, undoubtedly number 1. The Dallas Wings, number 2. The Las Vegas Aces, number 3. And for the sake of the conversation, I will introduce a 4th team. And while I'm not worried about them because they do have the player who Mitch and I believe will lead the W in scoring when all is said and done, in Kelsey Plum, I am worried about the Los Angeles Sparks solely because people keep getting hurt. In case you missed it, in addition to Cam Brink, still recovering from her ACL tear, has been with the team at different junctures, is expected back at some point in mid-May. In the opener, Ray Burrell suffers a right leg injury. She's out 6 to 8 weeks. Rakea Jackson suffered a concussion, so she will now miss extended time. I saw a tweet floating around of like they're the most beautiful bench, all in their street clothes, and they're all so pretty, and they could all be models. But also, those are 3 of your better players, and they are not available. And what is the best ability, Mitch? Availability.
Indeed.
And I just wonder how sustainable it is for Kelsey Plum to continue to literally carry a team night in and night out.
Kelsey Plum second in the WNBA in scoring right now.
Coming for you, Asia. Coming for you.
Points per game. Nafisa Collier is ahead of her.
Fee's now
29.5 points per game. I mean, just starting the season off on a heater. I don't think that scoring is maybe sustainable for Fee, but we'll see. I still like my pick.
I think Fee has other options on the floor that she can distribute the ball to, who
Right.
can also score. The Sparks do not have that option. They have to run their offense through Kelsey Plum.
Kelsey Plum might be jacking up a lot of threes. Yeah.
Which would be good for Mitch's bet. But anywho, yes, we have concerns. Los Angeles Sparks. No, not about the sideline attire. You're all beautiful. We love you, Sparks. You're so pretty. But please get back soon. Please get healthy because we don't want to include you in this list of teams that we are concerned about in this week's main event.